Good morning, Shane Watson here with Strategic Business Solutions, and it's my pleasure today to talk about the Clearview Analytics overview. This is training session 1 of 5 that we've created to kind of help the sales teams understand what the Clearview Analyzer does and how it works. Obviously, one of the things that we're trying to do, as I've got on my slide here, is to help you differentiate yourself from competitors. Today's session is going to focus specifically on how the analytic tool works within Clearview and how you might help that um, to have discussions that are meaningful with your prospects and get to data that might help you have some of those discussions. As you might remember from our introductory training, we look at what we do with you. We've observed some things over the last 15 years as we've worked with your organization, and we're not experts in the training of salespeople or anything like that. Haven't written any books, but we have observed some things, and this is kind of what we think you're trying to do as you work with some of these prospects. One is connect with them and help them learn about their organization, find things that might prompt them to look at things and consider doing things differently. Second, help them understand their business. What are the costs? What things can be automated versus done manually? How can you be a partner with these organizations? Along with that, help them understand their challenges, what things might be holding them out of compliance, what things could be made easier, what can you do to help them be more strategic to their approach in HCM versus tactical. Then obviously help them find solutions, and hopefully that is through the suite of products and services that you provide, and obviously through all of this create a relationship of trust that ultimately causes them to do business with the organization and helps them to become a client that is happy and sees the value of that partnership over a long period of time. Today we're going to focus on the first one of those, which is connect with me and help me learn. And I'm going to be talking specifically about an analytic tool that we have built within the Clearview Analyzer that allows you to produce powerful analytics that help those prospects learn average levels, what IT costs are, for example, what the average outsourcing fees might be in organizations of a certain number, what the manager engagement costs are, and we can look at these analytics from a variety of different lenses. One, we can look at things based on industry, based on size, based on platform, a combination of those things if you want to. And the idea here is to arm you with data that you can take to those prospects and have meaningful discussions that can give you credibility and help them learn about their organization. So what I'm going to do now is actually get into the tool. I'm going to try and touch on a couple of case studies, or at least one that we've used that I thought was good. First, let me show you how you access this analytic tool. I'm logged into the Clearview Analyzer as an admin. This should look exactly the same for you as you log in as a salesperson. And up here on this menu bar, you're going to see a link that says Sales Tools. As you click that, one of the things that you'll see available to you is the Analytic Hub. And if you click this, there's a couple of things that you can see. First is this filter by tag, which is a drop down. And one of the things that we have done to try and make this super easy for you guys to use is we have created a series of canned reports, both around TCO concepts and around ROI. So I'll click standard TCO reports, and you can see here out to the left is a description of the report. So average cost of non-labor total cost components by industry, average cost of non-labor total components by platform, variety of things here that you can look through, and just by the simple click of a run button, you can get to that data and see exactly how that works. So this one was obviously looking at average cost of non-labor total components for platform versus platform, and this was ADP versus PeopleSoft. So you'll see the number of studies, average TCO, average employee size, etc. Now I'm going to log out of this and actually log in as a salesperson so that I'm showing you exactly what you see as a user. And so here you'll see that link that I talked about that says Sales Tools. And if I click Analytics, let me show you how you can use this tool to do different things. So you'll notice that you don't have as many buttons as I do. And the reason for that is we want to kind of give you the ability to look at these different things. I'm going to go ahead and sort this by my standard TCO. And let's suppose that I want to see the average cost of systems and system maintenance by a given industry. So I would go over here, and the first thing that I would do is probably copy this so that I have it as my own report. So I'll say this is the average cost of system maintenance by industry, and I might come over here and say I'm looking at manufacturing. And so I want to put that out there so I have that. And then, as you can see, I can come down here and change my base industry metric value. So just by clicking this, I can go down and pick manufacturing. I can also include the different pillars that I want to look at. So within Clearview, we have 8. There's payroll, time and labor, HR, business benefits administration. We also have recruiting, comp, learning, and performance. And this one is set up as a base report that includes core things, so payroll, time, HR, and benefits. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that core and go ahead and say copy. And so now what I have done is created this average cost of system maintenance by industry manufacturing report. And I can see different things here. So if I go up and look at my reports, I should see this report that I have run and included. And so I can just go ahead and run this. Now, for whatever reason, maybe I didn't save it, so I noticed that I'm still on accommodation and food services, and that's a good thing. So let me show you how I can edit that real quickly. And I can go over here and just go to my data filters and make sure that this is manufacturing like I wanted it to be, and click the Save button. And it's going to change that data and bring it into manufacturing. And so now that is set as a report that I can access. What's this information telling me? Well, I can see that I have 310 studies in the Clearview database that are manufacturing. The average total cost of those 310 studies is $1.6 million. The average employee size of those 310 is 3,392. The maintenance labor, the salary cost being spent by those organizations to pay IT labor is about 92,629. The departmental budgets are about 10,380. Disaster recovery cost is $95. Hardware maintenance $6,417, and the average software cost is somewhere around $12,000. And the IT corporate overhead cost is $3,456. Facility being just under $2,500. So I may simply want to print this report and take it into a prospect and say, look, I looked at our database. I know you're in the manufacturing industry. I know that you're using fairly antiquated technology to process HCM. I ran some numbers to kind of see what the averages are. How do you think you stack up against these numbers? And, might just prompt a conversation. The other thing that you might do, and I'll use a case study here and kind of show you this create new report feature, which is kind of a custom report building feature that you have within this analytic hub. So I'm going to go back to just my standard reports. And I'm going to talk to you for a minute about City of Texas, El Paso. So City of Texas, El Paso, we went in and did a total cost of ownership study. And we went through all the steps and produced an ROI report that was very effective. The city ended up signing a contract with the organization. It was a good deal. And all of a sudden, it came time to implement, and some of the city managers realized, hey, this ROI is suggesting that we can cut headcount. Now, as you know, in government industry and in some of these types of organizations, the way that people gain stature and power in those organizations is due to their budget and number of people reporting to them. So obviously, some of the city managers became very uncomfortable with some of the things that we were proposing. And so we were able to leverage this tool to have some meaningful conversations with the mayor and other city officials to help them understand kind of what the averages were and how they were a little bit out of average, and that the things that we were proposing actually did make sense. So I'm going to show you what we did. We went out here and this is a kind of a walkthrough of how to create a custom report. But I'm going to go out here and name my report and say this is average resources in government leveraging PeopleSoft, which they were. And so I could go down here now and I could put anything in here I want. I could have 5 pages of text, something to the effect of this report demonstrates, or however I want to put that. I have the ability to do that, and it's going to be on the report that I create. Next, I'm going to click Next. And this is where I set up my data filters in the reporting tool. So I'm going to do industry, and I'm going to go down here and pick government, because I want to look at government, and I'm going to choose my payroll time. I'm going to look at HR in the mix as well as benefits, and I'm going to exclude my studies in progress because those are ones that I'm currently working and they may not be complete. So I'm just going to hit my 2 databases that I know have accurate information in there, and then I want to compare PeopleSoft to this group as well. I'll leave my size range alone and go Next. Now these are all the fields that I have available. So all of the data that we collect through the TCO and the ROI and those things are in here. And I'm going to say I want to show the number of studies. I want to show the average total cost. I want to show the average number of employees, so I have that. And I probably want to look at, because I'm comparing the labor piece, I want to look at salary cost and the number of FTE allocations for processing labor. And I want to go down here and look at probably my maintenance piece, where I have my maintenance labor, and say, let's look at those salary costs and the FTE allocation there, and go ahead and save that report. So what this is doing is it's bringing back, I had 146 studies that were done in the government area, average total cost of 1.5 million, average employee costs or size of 5,000, and then it gives me my processing labor cost, my average staff, and my average maintenance labor cost, and my average IT staff number. It also shows me that of that 146, I had 17 that were leveraging PeopleSoft, much like the city of El Paso. And here's the cost and the average employee size and all the things on that line. Now I have some options of what I can do with this data. And one is I can copy this, I can print it and create a report like this that just comes out. I can do an expanded print that gives me, some additional detail in here where I can actually see what the processing labor and non-labor and some of the breakdown costs related to these numbers are, and I can break those out both by the government side or by the platform size, as you see there. Or I can take this information and create a CSV and just pump this out to Excel and grab this data and start to do some things with it. What I did in the case of the city of El Paso is I worked with the sales team, and we came up with kind of a white paper, if you would, not a white paper, but something that we could use to explain to them what the findings were. So this kind of explains that we did a study, gives a summary of the results, some of the things that we concluded, as you see here, and we were able to pull this data in and say, here was kind of our total cost of ownership project impact summary. This is kind of where the city of El Paso is on employee size, their 1 per 78 employee ratio. You can see where we pulled in the government of 146 and showed their 1 per 463, and the PeopleSoft had 1 per 1496, showed the labor cost, the HCM staff, the maintenance labor, and the IT staff, and then we created some nice charts to kind of show, what those levels were. Talked about the ROI benchmarking and came in to kind of justify what we had done through the business case. Once we presented this to the mayor, of course, he became very comfortable with the data because we were using averages of studies that we had conducted and showed him that he was an outlier. So that's a really quick overview of kind of how the analytic tool works within the Clearview Analyzer. In summary, you've really got two ways that you can approach getting data out of this tool. One is simply go down here and use the standard ROI reports. Let's talk about ROI for a minute. So, I've now created this report up here in my reports that gives me my average cost by industry and my average government leveraging PeopleSoft. Let's say I now want to take a look at some of the ROI impact here. So I might go over here to the output and say, well, go down here to the ROI and show me the number of studies where I've done an ROI. Show me the average total cost of those and what the average ROI, average opportunity cost was and the overall percentage impact moving from whatever it is to ADP. And I can go ahead and then say next and save that, and you'll see that as I run this report, make sure I'm saving it here. Okay. There we go. I need to click save. As I run this report now, it's going to pull in, hey, for these government studies, of that 146, we did 6 ROIs, and here was the average TCO ROI. Here was the average savings. And so moving to ADP saved these companies on average 120% overall of their HCM costs. For the 17 using PeopleSoft, it was almost 389%. So that's kind of bringing in the ROI piece of this, where we can say, look, here's what happens when you move from what you're doing to an ADP environment and some of the impact there. And I think that's very positive. So you've got that out there. You can go in and look at standard ROI, standard TCO, or as I've demonstrated, you can go out here and create your own report using this very easy to use tool, and just 3 tabs. You're going to set it up, put your data filters in, choose your output components, run it, and you should be able to use it to have those meaningful conversations and hopefully really position you guys to have great results with your prospects. Thanks for your time this morning.